right, November 28th, 10 games on the NHL schedule here tonight, coming off a disgusting win last night with the San Jose Sharks, thanks to none other than So Money coming in hot with that one to close out the show there last night. But we get that one through, get another win under our belts here on the Edgework show, and you can track all of those over there on the BetStamp app in the Find Better section as Edgework HQ. See how we're doing throughout the course of the season. But before we get into recapping yesterday's picks, recapping what went on last night into this morning, the news that's broke, want to remind everybody that today, as always, is sponsored by BetStamp. The easiest way to improve as a sports bettor is by using multiple sports books and always getting the best odds. We recommend using an odds comparison tool like BetStamp to help you do so. BetStamp compares odds across every sports book, whether that's for games, futures, or player props. You can save time and money by checking BetStamp before you bet. So make sure to check out the app today. You can find that in iOS, Android, as well as available on the web. If you are looking to sign up for a new sportsbook account, please check out the offers available at betstamp.app/edgework. That is available in the description of this video podcast, however you're consuming it, but that is betstamp.app/edgework. Any signups using this link does help support the show, so we do appreciate that. But I mean, we'll get into some of the news and stuff, but we had 1-1 day yesterday here on the show. We go to 87, 85, and 1 here on the season, but we got a 4.1% ROI over a sample of 173 bets. And Matt, I'm sure you were the proudest person in the world to see the San Jose Sharks tracked here on the Edgework show yesterday. And not only that, but for them to win for us.
This is the first I've heard of it. Unfortunately, I was a little deep into the football weeds yesterday. But I'm really proud of So Money for just being like, you know what, it's time to hit these Sharks. Because, yeah, it was kind of a disgusting brothers night last night, right? Where Columbus was just an outrageous price at home against Boston. And, of course, the Sharks are disgusting all the time. So, yeah, incredibly proud. The Sharks have just gotten to a point where they're, like, rated, like, 50% below an average team. And so anytime they were playing, a friend of mine on another show that I do, we sort of have this joke called like, any team. So, when somebody says like, I don't know if they should be favored against any team, if you are any team, you are really in a bad state. Well, the Capitals certainly fall under the category of any team. A lot of like the Flyers did a couple of weeks back when we were on the Sharks, right? It's like, there's just a certain group of teams where it's like, should this team be minus 200 and change ever, right? Against any team? And yeah, like the Sharks are, there should be a statue of them in front of the Any Team Hall of Fame. But it's like, no, I'm sorry, Flyers, no, Capitals, no. And a handful of these other teams that if they are minus 2 something, even in San Jose, you just I realize San Jose is going to get outshot. Like that is their move, but you just have to bite the bullet and do it. And you're probably going to be, better off most of the time because what's happening is they go and they get smoked by all these good teams and it affects the general pricing for when they play the any teams, right? The kind of these, run of the mill below average type teams. So good on those guys or good on you guys last night. That's that any team comment. It's like last year, I believe it was in the playoffs. Bruce Cassidy, he was asked about their performance in one of the games, and he said, "Well, if you play like that, you're not going to beat Arizona in January." And no disrespect to Arizona, but there you go. That's the any team kind of moment that gets pulled out there, but. Plenty of news to go talk about here. Start off the show before we get into some of the best bets. So if you are watching, you enjoy the content, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. We will get to picks throughout here, but there are some important topics to discuss, and some of those do have betting implications. So first and foremost, let's start with last night. We'll go chronological order here, Moretto. Last night, we see another axe fall on a coach, and that would be Dean Evason out in Minnesota. I mean, you could kind of see it coming just in terms of the way that the season had started, but again, it's one of those ones where you're sitting there like Jay Woodcroft, you could see situationally why that might happen, but in terms of him as a coach, it's not like he was a bad coach deserving to be fired. And I saw you tweeting out yesterday, you weren't necessarily in agreement with the swap that was made. Maybe not necessarily the firing of Evason, but the fact that John Hines now steps into Minnesota to replace Evason. Can you take us through your thought process on what the hell went on in Minnesota, why they decided to move on from Evason, and why Hines is not the right guy?
Yeah, Hines is just a shit coach. That's probably why he's not the right guy. But Evason is...
Some are saying he's not the right flavor for Alex.
Yeah, he's not for November at least. So Evason, I get why he's fired, obviously. I still think he's a very, very good coach, and I don't think he'll be unemployed for too long. I think he got the most out of this roster. Like, realistically, this team had overachieved probably last season, and I think a lot of that is down to him. They played good hockey, good, smart, fundamental hockey. They played well as a team, and I think he kind of got the most out of them and just kind of reached a point now where, like, maybe, you know, his message is falling upon deaf ears and you kind of just need to change the voice up a little bit. So maybe I understand why he's gone. Again, don't think it's more so a knock against him. Maybe just more like this team isn't as good as we thought they were or people thought they were. The fact of the matter is Gustafsson and Fleury haven't been able to save a beach ball this year. They're both like combined. They're like minus 18, minus 19 goals saved above expected. Like, you're not going to win many hockey games, no matter who you're putting in there when you can't get a save. Their like underlying metrics have still been pretty good, which shows that I think the system that Evason had was, you know, a good one. Now Hines coming in, Hines' teams typically do not excel at 5-on-5. They do not excel in general. So we'll see if maybe that changes with a mediocre roster in Minnesota. Can't imagine it will, but I'm just surprised that, you know, I saw a lot of people also saying like, oh, Woodcroft is right there. How could you not just hire Woodcroft? Like, we don't know if Woodcroft wanted the job. Like, he just got fired. It's very possible that he's like, hey, I'm going to sit back for a little while and like figure things out. I'm not just going to jump into the opportunity that comes up. So like, I don't know if it was for like a lack of options or why they went with Hines, but I think we need to pump the brakes on like, they had all these different, we don't know who wanted to take that job necessarily. So yeah. Hope Evason lands on his feet. I'm sure he will.
Yeah, I'm sure he will as well. But talking about another guy who lands on his feet now, Patrick Kane this morning signs with the Detroit Red Wings. At least you see 800 different insiders tweeting out, confirming each other's confirmation about the confirmation that was tweeted before that Patrick Kane has indeed decided to join the Detroit Red Wings. Do you agree here, Matt, that with our friend, who I could only assume RW fan 23 would be Red Wings fan 23?
Maybe just really like right wingers.
Yeah.
I thought it was like the Rochester Warriors or something.
Fan of the position.
That the Detroit Red Wings are Stanley Cup bound now. Does this drastically increase their makeup and potentially like what could go down for them this season?
Listen, Zach, I respect after you not being here a couple of weeks ago for our electric conversation about coaches wanting Alex to go ahead when it comes to head coaches in the NHL and send the Patrick Kane question over to me. Having gotten pummeled by Patrick Kane, about a decade ago as a fan, a former fan or, closet fan of the Vancouver Canucks. Does it change anything for me with regards to the Red Wings? No, not really, right? Like, it didn't really change anything for me when he went to the Rangers last year.
Yeah.
So, it's the type of thing, it's like, maybe if he gets there and, the goals are going in at an alarming rate, it's like, I just kind of don't see that happening necessarily. So, on a day-to-day basis, I'm not going to move their rating up any because Kane is there. Off and on, will he have an impact and potentially win them a game or two between now and the end of the season, like over the course of, 60 games? Yeah, potentially, right? Like, it doesn't take much to win to be the difference maker in one single solitary hockey game. Am I making any bets whether he's in the lineup, not in the lineup, or because he's now joining the team? No, not necessarily. And that's from a place of liking the Red Wings before the season started. So this isn't any sort of like down, I'm not bleep talking the Red Wings here. This is more just like, yeah, you know what? Thought they were a little better than the market thought before the season started. I think that's been sort of, to this point proven, and good for him for going to that team versus some of the other options that he had, or at least were rumored to have per se. And, I think it's a little bit more interesting from like a hockey fan perspective. Everybody likes seeing a guy in a different jersey, right? So I like trade deadline is so exciting and like all that kind of stuff. And it's just like, yeah, okay, kind of a cool move. Really cool for the Red Wings, and the idea that they might make the playoffs or kind of, push for, Stanley Cup contender is probably a bit of a stretch, but, better than we thought. And that's just kind of how I still think the Red Wings are. They're just a little bit better than we thought.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't do that in terms of, hey, we're not going to let Matt talk about the coaches here. More about, we got so many games ahead of us today. We go bang at these topics.
Still going, man. The carousel's going to go whether we're around.
Is going.
Whether we're to ride it or not.
Going.
Don't worry, everybody. Listen, if people are like I'm veering the conversation away. But if people are tripping over themselves for Woodcroft to get another job like 2 weeks later, I'm sure Dean Evison will find another job at some point too, and he'll be able to kind of add to his resume and be he'll be a Hall of Fame coach with 5 different stops along the way, like some of these other guys. That's like, yeah, if he was so good, why did he coach 5 teams? Anyway, another here and there.
Anyways, I do see a comment in the chat here. Charles Saul bringing up, so glad the Cats dodged getting Kane. Was honestly worried for a few weeks. The Iser plan always fails. I will say I agree with Matt's assessment of Kane for the most part in terms of like the difference maker factor, or like how much he was going to be a difference maker. I think that we saw that last year with the Rangers, like you mentioned. We talked to Matt Alber. He kind of brought that up as well. I was looking at that from a Leafs perspective. When you hear that they're in on it, it's like, okay, I don't think that this guy's a game changer necessarily. I will say the one team that I had thought, and I know Moretto, you were kind of on the same page, says it's not necessarily a difference maker, but I actually thought the fit in Florida was like the ideal fit for potentially both parties there. And again, that's not even to go against and say like, oh, he's this massive change or impact for them, but it just felt like that's a piece that they could use, and that's a spot that he could fit in. And I felt like that might be the right spot. So kind of disagree with Charles there on that one.
Yeah.
For a team that was absolutely begging for a power play goal in the back half of the playoffs last year, like adding anybody who can kind of, maybe help that out would have certainly been a decent move. I agree.
Yeah, Florida was the perfect fit, I thought, because they're a really strong defensive team and a place where he can go and kind of like have to not be responsible at 5-on-5 so much, where he could just sort of coast on a line with like very good defensive forwards along with him, like maybe a Barkov or something like that. And like that burden is kind of lifted off of him. He can go play beer league hockey, and then he can park out on the power play and just like, rack up goals that way. I thought the fit was good. Detroit, I don't think necessarily makes them a playoff team. I think the East is just too competitive. I love Detroit. I would like to see them do well, but like, I just don't think they're one of the best 8 teams. Doesn't mean they're not going to make the playoffs, but I still don't think they're one of the best 8 teams. The reality is we don't know what version of Patrick Kane we're going to get though, right? Like he was injured last year. Like he was absolutely like hampered by that hip injury. He was not anywhere near 100% when he was with the Rangers in the playoffs and whatever. So like maybe with the rehab and stuff, like he's a better version of the Patrick Kane we saw last year, or maybe he's just like gone through too much and the wear and tear has been too much where he's just bad. Like the range of outcomes for what we could see from him is so wide, I think, right now. So like it's hard to make an accurate assessment based on just some highlight videos that his agent is throwing up on YouTube. Like, surprise, he looks good in those. I mean, like, yeah. I mean, I'd be concerned if he didn't.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to the games here. Let's talk about that Florida Panthers team and where they're at here tonight against the Toronto Maple Leafs. You see the Panthers on the road here tonight visiting Toronto, plus 125 right now. The Leafs minus 130, 131. You can see a total of 6.5 currently out there. Matt, you're looking to bet on this game. Which side or total are you looking to get behind right now?
The Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's do it. Minus 130. That price seems a little bit, low for Florida coming in off a back-to-back game. Obviously handled Ottawa pretty nicely yesterday. This little, what term do we want to use? Jam? There's a little extra jam in that game last night. We had the referee calling 10-minute misconducts on everybody involved on the ice. That was really enjoyable. Everybody got a kick.
One of the greatest clips ever.
Yeah. That's like the everybody false started except for the center, when it's like it's probably the center's fault. It's a little bit kind of like that. I don't think the goaltenders didn't get a 10-minute misconduct. Unfortunately, I think that would be if I'm not mistaken. That would have been a little bit more exciting. That would have technically been everybody on the ice. As for the game tonight, like I said, again, a Florida team that, on and off, not necessarily like in love with them at this point in the season. I think obviously they're going to be better. They're going to be, probably a force again to be reckoned with come playoff time when they're fully healthy. But the Leafs here, I think, are just the spot, especially at a pretty short price, where my fair price for this is like closer to minus 160. So I was a little bit surprised to see that, I think it opened yesterday on minus 140, 145. So a little bit surprised to see some Florida money coming in here, but if that just means it's going to save me a couple of cents, then, I'm fine with that.
Moretto, I mean, I know that this is the ideal spot for you to look to go against the Leafs, but are you in agreement here at what the price is at right now?
Is there an ideal spot for Moretto to go against the Leafs, or is it just them playing?
That's 82 games of the year, yeah.
It's like, what about this spot makes Alex being like,
no. Moretto did bet on the Leafs earlier.
Right.
I've bet on the Leafs before. Before. I also wanted them. I didn't bet on them, but I wanted them to beat Pittsburgh. The one time this year I will root for the Leafs was Saturday night, and of course they don't come through for me.
Is that just because I was on Pittsburgh?
No,
Saturday play, and you're
the whole Kyle Dubas thing, and you know how bad Dubas wanted it, and I just didn't quite want him.
I thought it was because he didn't want me to take over the lead in Saturday best bets of the group.
Well, I was 6-0 before. I think I'm 6-1 now on these Saturday ones. So
I'm 5-1 with a couple of pretty decent underdogs.
Yeah, that's
Alex.
true.
Like,
that's true. If we look at ROI, you might, yeah.
I know you're calculating that stuff at home while you're watching Boise State and
yeah. No, I don't have anything in this game. I could have got behind a Leafs play, but I don't know. It's just kind of been ticking a little bit. Like earlier today, it was a little bit lower. Come on. What were they this morning at Pinnacle? I think they were more closer to minus 20-ish this morning, minus 125-ish. So it's just been ticking that way. And I wasn't dying to bet it there either. I need a real bargain to bet the Leafs, If I'm in a stomach cheering for them, I need a nice price.
Either they're going to be plus money at home against the Panthers here. At what point is a bargain not a bargain?
Plus, the Scotiabank Arena on a Tuesday, it's going to sound like a morgue in there.
I mean, that's
knowing it's cold outside.
It's going to fucking stink in there tonight.
What day does it not? So again.
Yeah. Also. We'll move on from this game. We do have our best bet there. I do have another bet in this game I'll give out, but only if we get 50 likes on the stream. We're not there yet. We've got over 50 people watching, so there's no reason for there to not be 50 likes on the stream. So keep hitting the like button, and I got a prop here.
Yeah,
I got a prop for this game.
You guys want his Matthew Nyes anytime.
It's not Matthew Nyes anytime, but that one did win for me on Saturday. It's just numbers, man. You're betting numbers, not players.
That's just
so not teams. That's all it is. It's just math. But there you go. First bet locked in. We will recap all the bets that we give out here on the show at the very end of the show. But let's go over to another 7:00 game and the Battle of New York, New Jersey. I don't know, whatever. What's that area called? What's the general area where these two teams are called?
New York metropolitan area.
There you go. New York metropolitan. Yeah, sure. The Islanders on the road tonight taking on the Devils. Devils at home minus 156. You see a price for the Islanders plus 145. A total in this one sitting at 6, but you can shop around and find 6.5s out there. Moretto, what are you looking at in this game tonight?
Yeah, I am back to the well here with an under. In both these teams, I've been playing a decent amount of unders lately. I think them going up against each other is a good recipe for an under here. Sorokin's really kind of rediscovered his game, which I like quite a bit. And obviously this team still struggles to score. But when you're getting a Sorokin who is now really starting to get into a zone and be locked in, he was unbelievable against the Flyers last week, I think his last start. So he's starting to turn it on. The Devils, now that they're getting back to health, you would think they're an offensive wagon again, and they are. Don't get me wrong, but defensively is where we're seeing a real impact. It's hard to score when you don't have the puck, and they don't really let teams play with the puck too much. So you got an Islanders team that I think is still pretty good at keeping goals out defensively, and with Sorokin going up against a Devils team that is giving up very little. I think that this is a good recipe for an under, and it's a decent price at 6.5. Oh, the minus 120s are gone now. Hey, oh no, there's still a minus 120.
No, there's a bunch there. There's a couple.
Okay. Yeah. So 6.5 minus 120. I would play 125, but I think at that point it would be a toss up between the minus 125 and the plus 100 at under 6. But if you're getting the minus 120 at 6.5, that's definitely the look for me.
All right, there you go. There's another pick locked in. Matt, any thoughts here before we move on from this game?
Not one.
I love it.
Absolutely nothing.
I love it.
Fair enough. Hey.
Forgot it even existed.
Well, we appreciate the honesty. That's what it's all about. Transparency, right? We break down the record. We tell you how we did the night before. And
Yeah.
if you got nothing on a game, you got nothing on a game, whether
listen,
that's thoughts or bets.
If I decide to dug into it, then yeah, I might end up having something at some point between now and puck drop. But like, we're talking early in the morning here, an electric Monday Night Football game last night. There's only so much I can.
Yeah, electric.
And when I look at between with Alex's team involved, of course, and I look at the games and the numbers and stuff, and the money line price like makes total sense to me. I just kind of go like, all right, I mean, go digging for a side there to some sort of angle, but I currently do not have one. So that's a long way of saying nope, nothing for me.
All right, well, another game here coming up on the schedule is we got the Chicago Blackhawks at home tonight, plus 165 against the Seattle Kraken, minus 175, a total of 6. And Matt, despite all the controversy surrounding this Blackhawks team right now, whether it's rumors or headlines popping up, players missing, and just a lack of play on the ice that they've had, or a level of play that they had to start this season, you're looking to get behind the Blackhawks here tonight against your Seattle Kraken.
Oh, yeah, my former Seattle Kraken. Come on.
Yeah, right.
We're long past then. Listen, I'm lost because the Kings aren't playing for yet another Tuesday. I don't know what happened to the schedule. Clearly, the NHL found out that Kings Tuesdays were a thing, and we're like, get them off Tuesdays. Yeah, people are making way too much money on that. Sorry, Zach. Rumors? Do you want to fill me in on that stuff? I don't really.
No, we're not going to speculate. We're not going to bring anything up here on this show. That's not what this is about. Not the rumor show.
Okay.
Is the mom strip still going?
I had not heard anything about anything there. So I don't know. Does Corey Perry's absence affect the money line pricing for this game? I don't really think so. We're looking at a plus 160. What do we got right now on the old board here? I was able to jump in a little bit higher than plus 160. There's interesting things going on. I had no idea.
I'm not pulling up the chat on the screen there
no,
for people to see.
I don't even know what that means. Yeah, okay. Get it back on the track here. Yeah, plus 165 on the Blackhawks here. My fair price is, honestly, I would bet this down to plus 150. My fair price is probably closer to about plus 130. So it's a in Connor Bedard we trust situation, and no members of his family whatsoever.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what that means. Moretto, any thoughts for you on this game?
Yeah, I'm trying to find this tweet here for you to pull up at 1.2, but
I'm just looking for Connor Bedard to dink one into the net at some point tonight. Maybe.
Yeah, he'll really dick them down. I like the. Geez, I lost my train of thought completely here. I like the under here. Yeah, Kraken. Okay, so Kraken, not a good offensive team. Blackhawks, not a good offensive team. Neither generate too much at 5-on-5. And Bedard, off-ice issues. We'll see what's going on with him mentally here.
What are these off-ice issues that everybody keeps talking about? Somebody, Alex, you fill me in. I don't really...
We'll let Twitter fill you in.
What's going on? Okay. Should I start...
But,
what should I Google? Do you think?
I mean, no, Connor, look, Corey Perry, apparently he's
a word that I should be putting in? Jordan Jordan in the chat. Thinking is
he came in to be a father figure to that team, and he took that personally, right?
Oh boy. Oh. I thought we weren't gonna go there, but apparently
scroll down a little bit, Zach, to the tweet underneath it.
No, we're not doing that, gentlemen. Come on, tighten it up.
This is a hockey show, gentlemen.
It's a hockey show. Come on. Clean it up. Mathematics, probabilities, right wingers.
Right. I have no idea where we were at before this. Kraken. So, Moretto, whatever you were talking about, you got to bring it back
on the rails here. I'm getting it back on the rails. So, under in this game,
no idea, is
a good bet. The under's taking a little bit of money, so we still can get under 6.5 at minus 120. This is a Kraken team that will not give up anything to Chicago. Like they're this is what they do. They're good at, dominating at 5-on-5, especially against bad teams. So I think Chicago will struggle to get things going. And as long as we don't get like a complete disaster class in net for Chicago, I don't see Seattle scoring enough to really get this game over the total, especially at 6.5. I guess because the Blackhawks are involved, that's why we're getting a 6.5. But getting a 6.5 in a Kraken game feels like a little bit of a steal for me. And obviously, like, the fact that the Blackhawks are in there is the reason why. But I think that you'd see them kind of like their opponent kind of should shape the total more so than the Blackhawks themselves, right? Like if they're playing a team like the Kraken, I think that holds more weight than the fact that the Blackhawks maybe can't get a save some nights. But look, Soderblom's been solid. Mrazek has had his games too where he's been good. I don't think it's like they're obviously prone to blowout spots, but I think that this isn't one of those. This shouldn't be, at least. So getting minus 120 at 6.5 is a good look for me.
This chat is sick. You guys are sick in the head.
But I'm a Predator.
First I've heard of any of it.
Well, I mean, Moretto, you said it. I was trying to find some transition. I was going to get to it about how we were all sick. You guys were sickos. The chat was sickos. We were going to get sick again here. But, I mean, you said it yourself. You're a Predator. And tonight, another opportunity to back the Nashville Predators.
Can I just jump in real quick? Because we missed an opportunity on giving the Blackhawks our plus 160 and change. This is kind of a disgusting brothers play. So
cue the clip.
Compose
yourself. Cue the clip.
The disgusting brothers.
Don't call us that.
What's that? That's like Corey Perry and like.
No.
I don't know who's.
Nick Foligno.
Oh no.
That's why Foligno threw his back out.
Okay. The Nashville Predators.
Corey Wamsgame.
I mean, shocker. Why are you looking at this game, Moretto? The Pittsburgh Penguins, Kyle Dubas. Just give us the numbers. Tell us why you like the bet, and then we'll let Matt tell us about his numbers and why it's not a hate Dubas play.
Wait, is this do we have a Chicago bet in that game too? I'm lost here. Matt, did you lock in Chicago?
I don't know what I hate to sort of find out what Jeff Carter's up to for the Pittsburgh Penguins, but
all right.
What do you mean in the Chicago? I have the Chicago money line. Why are we back to Chicago? That was a disgusting.
I must have missed.
What is going on?
What is how we got here?
I thought we missed
That's how.
All right.
We already gave it out. I gave it out, and then I went to you.
I was looking for the tweet. I was looking for the tweet. I was too busy looking for the tweet.
For Alex?
I completely ignored Matt's whole handicap there. All right.
It wasn't. I mean.
Oh my god.
It really is.
We needed to get that on screen. All right. So,
okay.
Predators, they're hot. They're hot. Much like Bedard's mom, they are on fire right now. They are cleaning up right now. And realistically, I'm back on. I am completely back on them. And they're not just winning games. They're playing very good hockey. And the Penguins are kind of the opposite right now, where they're winning some games, but they're not playing the best hockey. And their underlying numbers are not the most impressive. Goaltending's been kind of meh. Saros is really turning it around. The team in front of him is playing fantastic. Like, you're looking at 60%, 53%, 57%, 50%, 51% in their last handful of games. This is very much deserved what they're doing right now. Their turnaround has been completely warranted, and I think it continues tonight against the Pens team that is not playing the best hockey right now, coming off that win against the Leafs, which I think meant a lot to Dubas, meant a lot to that team. Maybe a little bit of a hangover spot here. So obviously that's very narrative, but that aside, I think the price is good on Nashville getting plus money here.
So the Penguins are too old for you?
A little bit.
Let's also, I did catch it in real time, but I've been bringing up here, Moretto did in fact say Predators are hot.
Yeah. That one was just by accident. So
This is a fucked up show today.
The Penn's mom's trip is what? I mean, they're all in their 70s, no? That's why Perry wouldn't sign there, I'm guessing. It wasn't slim pickings.
He looked at the landscape. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. No, Preds plus 100. I bet it to like minus 105.
Okay, there. That was what I was going to ask.
Probably wouldn't go much higher than that, though.
Okay.
Is it possible last week the Tuesday show got pre-suspended and that's why there was no NHL hockey?
No, it was after Jeremy says first time, long time. Do you guys think coaches matter in the NHL? I'll hang up and listen. All right, Matt. Matt, what's going on with the Predators here? Do you like them as well?
This falls mercifully. This falls under the category of I have no play here. This number is about right for me, so I will. I'll just let Alex's handicap stand on its own.
I'm glad we're not consensusing this because that would be a disaster.
No, you can't. No, you can't consensus a Predator.
When we're all in on these on Nashville, when we're all in on Nashville. It doesn't go well.
When you consensus a Predator, it usually means
jail. I mean, I was trying to just use the team name for the city. Focus on the city for a little while, but
oh man, I got to get it together here. All right, 9 more likes to get to 50. Let's get to that on the stream here. If you guys are really sick, then what? 27 more likes there. I guess we got another one until 69. I mean, why not? Like, based on today's show, like
not do math.
What? I'm trying to do it in real time very quickly while monitoring other things going on my screens. All right, there you go. A couple best bets locked in here so far. We'll get to all of these at the end of the stream as well. We'll recap everything we've given out. So that we can kind of consensus everything based on the shitstorm that's gone on in between each of the picks here and help deliver those to everyone. But we do appreciate the support, appreciate people tuning in, hitting that like button. Let's get to another game here. Moretto, I'm going to go back to you on the total because I have a feeling we're going to have an interesting conversation about the game after this one. But let's first and foremost look at the Tampa Bay Lightning, Arizona Coyotes game. Looking at Coyotes at home, plus 110. The Tampa Bay Lightning coming in, minus 115. See a total of 6.5 right now. What are you thinking for this game tonight?
Yeah, we have the rare double goalie confirmation this early in the morning, too, for a late game. So it's going to be Johansson and Ingram. Johansson was, like, on one for a while, and we're like, say goodbye to the old Jonas Johansson, who, in our heads, we're probably still, like, is, a lot better than the Jonas Johansson we knew. But the reality is he's starting to turn into a pumpkin again before our eyes. So he's just at like a -2 goal saved above expected on the season, which looks okay. And like, that's like, hey, if you're the Lightning, you take that considering, all the time Vasilevsky missed. But reality is his last 9 games, -9.35 goals saved above expected. The wheels have completely come off here. And, Ingram's been good for a while now, last season too, so it's not like small sample, but like the Lightning are still an elite scoring team. They've especially come on in the last few weeks. Power play scorching hot. Coyotes power play has been clicking really well. Both teams bottom third defensively. I think we see a lot of goals here. I think that Tampa Bay with Johansson and net on this back-to-back are going to have to just push the pace and play a bit more of a run and gun game because reality is, I think the way Johansson's been playing, you can't expect him to make too many saves. So this has overwritten all over it. 6.5 at -115. I am very down for that.
All right, perfect. We'll lock that one in. Matt, anything for you here?
So I'm on the I'm on the Coyotes plus 105. I am a little bit concerned that maybe Jonas Johansson is the Joshua Dobbs of the NHL, and maybe Alex can help us with this. I think there's certain goaltenders that are more suited to be backup goaltenders, i.e., play once a week, once every 10 days, et cetera, et cetera. So as we talk about Johansson, it's like, well, maybe as the workload piles up, that's where the numbers kind of fall off. So then now getting that role of a backup where he's in the the old Brian Elliott role, where maybe in less work means a little bit better efficiency for him. So that's the thing I'm a little bit concerned about. Now that he's had almost a week off here to kind of like recharge. He knows it's like, oh, I'm not, one, he didn't play last night, right? So he's not responsible for back-to-backs or any of that sort of thing because of how bad the Lightning depth beyond him was. So I'm a little bit concerned that we get this sort of super fresh Johansson here, which is kind of, a lot of the times it's kind of my theory when it comes to backup goaltenders, where it's like the market will downgrade a team because they're starting the backup, not necessarily sort of aware that like this guy's chance to shine over the course of once every, like I said, week, 10 days, even 2 weeks potentially with the Lightning. So I think the expectation here was obviously that he was going to play this game, especially with Vasilevsky playing Colorado. The number open plus 115 for Arizona, and then I guess upon confirmation or sort of, I don't know if confirmation was even necessary in this case. I don't think Vasilevsky was playing back-to-back nights in his second and third games back. But, we've seen it drop down a little bit here to plus 105, plus 100, plus one. There's a plus 110 still available. So that's certainly the play for me. Anything with a plus in front of it with the Coyotes, as Alex said, Johansson, in theory, probably not going to stop a ton of pucks necessarily, but I am a little bit, my sort of hesitation here. I mean, it's a bet, it's already made, all that sort of thing. But my concern here is that maybe this role suits him a little bit better. And obviously Vasilevsky is going to be good, or at least, we assume he's going to be good, and it's been pretty good so far. It's like, that's going to boost Johansson as well. And I think from here on, you're going to get a pretty high GSAX from a team perspective from the Lightning. From here, again, assuming everybody stays healthy, obviously, from now until the end of the season. But let's hopefully catch Johansson still maybe having a minor crisis of confidence. And again, this Coyotes team at home, we like them as an underdog, especially with a team coming in off of, honestly, it was a pretty big game last night from a matchup perspective with the Lightning in Colorado. Obviously that's why they started Vasilevsky first, beyond the, just sort of the traditional start the starter first, situation. So take the Coyotes, but kind of fingers crossed that Johansson's still kind of having a rough time of it.
I agree that's very possible. You see, like, Jake Allen is the one that comes to mind for me with that, where like Jake Allen, when he's playing every night, but when he's like a 1B and he can just play like once a week or whatever.
You like Josh Dobbs.
Right.
You like Josh Dobbs in 2 games. But once you get to game 3, game 4, like any backup quarterback, or I shouldn't say any, because we watch a lot of bad backup quarterbacks who stink right off the top. But my point is a good backup quarterback, right, can kind of hold the fort down for a game or two. I think it's very similar when it comes to goaltending. Yeah,
I do think Johansson is just ass though, but like, again, we'll see. I agree that they took money though, because like the plus 120-ish or sub 25-ish was a bit much. But at this point, like, I don't trust their team makeup and defensive makeup enough at like this shorter price to hold off the Lightning, because I think even coming off that loss, like maybe if the Lightning had beaten Colorado last night, like the Lightning are very like, they know what it takes to win. Like they're a very professional team in the sense where like they're going to fuck off when they can fuck off, and they know when they can kind of take their foot off the gas a little bit. I don't think this is a situation where like coming off that loss last night, they're like, okay, yeah. I mean, it's obviously like incredibly narrative based, and it's hard to like quantify that, but like they are a team that is just like that, right? Where like, and like, okay, we don't care about this game. It's November and it doesn't matter. But like, we lost to the Avs last night, whatever. And like, Johansson's been good. Maybe put in a bit of a good performance in front of him tonight, whatever.
And if it's, listen, there's a stat quoted in the chat there. And again, I haven't checked to see whether that's true. There's no reason for that not to be necessarily, but 1 in 10 in the past 2 seasons on the second night of our back-to-backs. Like if that's the case, right? There's also somewhat of an institutional element where, I imagine a lot of those are Brian Elliott type games, right? Mm-hmm. Where maybe there's an institutional element of like maybe not consciously, but subconsciously, it's like, we just don't win these games ever. And I don't know that Johansson's necessarily played well enough for them to think at this point that they're going to. So, I mean, if I guess my point is they've come this far by losing basically every game on the road on a back-to-back with a subpar goaltender, and I'm getting plus money to kind of keep that train rolling, so to speak. I'm okay with that.
So the thing about trends like that though is like obviously the teams and situations and everything changes so much, and you could also,
but the Lightning are a pretty stable like X factor here.
But how's this for a trend? The Lightning are 1-0 in their last one on the second night of back-to-backs on the road, because they just won their last one. Their one earlier this season. So I don't know. I don't put much stock into things like that. But again, maybe with a team like the Lightning, it holds a bit more weight. But that was a Matt Tompkins game too. the horrific Matt Tompkins who got them a win.
He won a game.
He won a game.
Good for him.
He won a game.
Good
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
possibly
more NHL games than I could say I won.
Yeah.
Possibly just a massive outlier then if Matt Tompkins is winning on. Yeah.
All right. The team I wanted to talk about here before we get to the final pick of the night is the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton at home tonight against Vegas, minus 135. You see Vegas coming in plus 131. A total of 6.5 right now. Matt, you sent before the show you like to price, but it has moved a little bit since we've been on air and even just before we had started to come on air here. But can you talk us through what's going on with this Oilers team, where the market's moved to on this one, and whether you still like the side you were interested in going into it?
Yeah, listen, at this point, whether it's going against Vegas or being on Edmonton and the Edmonton goaltending situation, there's never a time where I quote unquote like it. That being said, a couple of nice games in a row here for Edmonton. And I'm just trying to figure out what, honestly, both teams' ratings should be, because obviously we get into that point where Vegas, it's like, yeah, the metrics don't look amazing, yet they never lose a game. Started to lose a couple here in the last little bit. Whereas Edmonton, their rating kind of never really budged throughout, a lot of the sort of chaos that was going on. There was one time where they faced the Canucks, and it was a considerably different price than the first meeting. But I think that had more to do with people being interested in the Canucks because the Canucks were so hot at that point. So I'm just looking and I'm like, okay, I kind of think maybe Edmonton's rating has been kind of downgraded here a little bit. And obviously Vegas is, we never know what the ceiling is with regards to Vegas, but they're certainly not underrated at this point. So I can kind of understand why this number is the way that it is. And for me, anything kind of minus 150 or lower is worth it. I got in at like a rogue minus 125, honestly, not that long ago. And honestly, I was looking for like minus 130 and 135. So the fact that there's still a minus 135 out there is still a bet for me here on the Oilers. Again, it's backing the Oilers goaltending. And as we know, from somehow a goaltending conversation turned into a coaching conversation 2 weeks ago. But I'm no fan of the Oilers goaltending situation. As we saw another, victim of the bad goaltending, coaching fire yesterday. So, for me, again, this is just a price situation. God knows I don't love fading the Golden Knights here. But we're gonna grin and bear it here with an Oilers team that really needs to get it going here at some point.
All right. I'll take the Edmonton Oilers minus 135 there. Lock in. Moretto, any thoughts for you for where this price is currently at? And with this Vegas team, I know this is a team we've had some trouble with in the past, but going up against them tonight, any disagreement at all?
No, I don't need to be talked into fading Vegas and losing money fading Vegas because I do that on the regular. So especially here against an Oilers team that have they figured it out offensively or have they just played Washington and Anaheim in the last two games? I don't know, but I'm willing to buy in. It's still Connor McDavid. I still think this team has been playing well throughout all the shit they've gone through this year. We've talked about that before. And now catching Vegas without, Martinez and Theodore on the back end where they're going to have Nicholas Hay first pairing minutes. That's not ideal. So I think that they're, again, catching Vegas at a really good time. And, maybe two games against two, not great teams, despite what Washington has kind of done up to this point. I still don't think they're a good team. Catching those two teams at the time they did has really helped them sort of get that confidence back. And now, facing a shorthanded Vegas team is just right in line with that. So I do agree. I probably, I was right on the fence because I wanted to bet it. And I was just am I crazy enough to do it? Because it's still Vegas and I just get screwed every time. But I'm jumping. I'm in. So
yeah, I mean, Vegas lost 4 of their last 5 here. And I think, I've
not generally well.
And I generally price in kind of about 5% for a second game off of a back-to-back. And this number is sort of 8% short. And I think when it comes to a back-to-back, especially with these injury situations, right? You mentioned Shea Theodore, which I think matters a little bit more. But when, we're talking about a cluster injury type situation for a defensive core on a back-to-back, right? And that kind of acts as a multiplier in a lot of ways. So, maybe on with 3 days off, Shea Theodore being out doesn't necessarily mean 3 to 4% win probability. But off of a back-to-back with Martinez, I think it probably does. And so that's, I think, what's kind of creating for me. I just kind of ignored it when I was looking down before. Because I am sort of confused by both these teams' ratings in the market. But yeah, to me, that's the kind of biggest X factor in this, where it's, how much does those two guys being out on the second night of a back-to-back, like that has to mean more than something that it normally would, if you sort of understand what I mean.
Yep, for sure. I think that makes sense.
All right, one more game with the best bet here that we know we have going into this one. Moretto, we'll go back to you for another total. We're looking at the Anaheim Ducks Vancouver Canucks game here tonight. Total of 6.5 currently right now. You see the Canucks coming in minus 238, the Ducks plus 227. What are you looking at for the total of this one?
Sorry, I was just getting that Oilers bet in, actually. Okay, so Vegas. Vancouver, Anaheim. Yes, I am another total here. So Anaheim is in a bad way right now, and they look horrendous, and they're bleeding goals, can't win a game, bleeding chances, yada, yada. But Gibson has still been a silver lining for this team. He's been very good throughout. We will get the Gibson start. I'm pretty sure, I'm fairly confident that we'll get the Gibson start because Dostal started on Sunday and he was horrific and he allowed 6 goals in the first 29 minutes of that game and was yanked. So Gibson came in. I don't think they're going to go back to Dostal. I think that was enough of a rest for Gibson where they're going to be all right, we need to get the, things back on track here, get Gibson back in net. So yeah, obviously with all they've been allowing, it's a bit of a scary proposition, but I like the under here. On the premise that I think we'll see Gibson, and I feel very confident that we'll see Demko as well, considering DeSmith started on Sunday. But while the Ducks have sort of tailed off defensively, they've also tailed off offensively. It's just been a full team thing. The goals have completely dried up. They don't have any reliable scoring up front. They've scored 11 goals in the last 6 games. Canucks have been just, by all metrics, a very low event team at 5-on-5, and they're backed by an elite goalie in Demko. So yeah, this should not be a 6.5. in my opinion, and we definitely should not be getting plus money at 6.5. So I think this is probably my favorite of the totals I've given out tonight, but probably means we're going to get a 7-1 game. So we'll see what happens, but I do like it. I do like the under quite a bit here. Plus money 6.5 is very nice.
This one was very close to Disgusting Brothers territory. I
was going to say.
Yeah, and it's not all that surprising, I don't think. It honestly just kind of comes down to what you believe the Vancouver Canucks are at this point. And again, as a reformed Canucks fan, you want them to be what their record has been up until this point, or at least up until the last couple of games. But the metrics haven't, as Alex mentioned, the metrics haven't been amazing by any means, and certainly didn't support the, what are they, 14-4 or something along those lines type of record that they had. And so the market changed their rating, right? And they went from that team that before the season was slightly below average. Their expected goal share is still kind of supportive of that rating, but the market changed their rating to kind of about 10 to 12% above average. And it's if you believe that they're 10 to 12% above average, then this is a fair price against the Ducks. If you don't believe it's that high, then kind of anything is, anything lower than that starts to create value on the Ducks at such a high price, right? Not that this is ever a 50-50 type of a game, but it certainly could be closer to a 63-37 type of game for the Canucks. And at plus, what were we looking at there? Plus 220? I had 217 earlier today or last night, but I think we might be even higher than that. Yeah, 227. I mean, jeez. Right? Yeah. So I'm probably not going to bet it just because it's I don't have to. But honestly, if these were two other teams with the same numbers and stuff, we'd be playing the Disgusting Brothers clip again. But we had to leave it for Alex's Corey Perry discussion. I still don't understand what that was about. But
yeah,
no idea.
No, of course not.
First I've heard of it.
All right, well, there you go. That'll do it for the best bets there. We did get 50 likes, so I'll give it out. And, Moretto was in the ballpark. It's not Matthew Nyes, but it is a Toronto Maple Leaf. I apologize, but those are the ones I know. That's where I have the idea.
Right, well,
This one is real simple, very, very simple. I think you guys will agree with it. I'm going with John Tavares anytime goal scorer. It's plus 180 right now. You can find that on FanDuel. I'd probably still get them to you see 155s. That's probably the end of where I'd play it. It's smaller down to there because it's much smaller edge on it at that point. But that 180 at FanDuel, look, I'll be the first person to say it. I've talked to Moretto about it extensively. Is I'm not the biggest Mitch Marner fan, but that being said, he's a good playmaker, and he has traditionally had a lot of success playing with John Tavares. He's much more of a playmaker than William Nylander is. William Nylander is more of a play driver and a guy who you can see in the last 2 years is a guy who's going to be scoring goals. Mitch Marner is not. He doesn't want to shoot. He's not looking to shoot. He's looking to pass. And alongside a guy like John Tavares at plus 180, I think that's where I'd be looking to go. You just also add in the fact that he does still play the power play late game scenarios, whether that is with empty nets or up a goal or like it doesn't matter. He's going to be out there near the end. He's going to have those opportunities. I think JT, especially alongside Mitch Marner at plus 180, is a very good price there. That's the player prop that I have for tonight. And I'll play it for a full unit here on this.
He's going to be motivated too because he just got demoted to having to play with that whiny little shit.
Zach, is that comment in the comments section from Charles? Is that true? Because honestly, I think PETA should probably get involved.
Oh boy, I love it. The dad jokes on full throttle this morning.
I thought you were gonna go like some other direction about like
full well I'm not going in any other direction than the absolute dumbest direction we could possibly. It's Tuesday.
All right, fair enough. Well, there you go. That'll do it for the best bets here on today's show. We do appreciate everyone who tuned in, everyone who hit that like button, everyone who subscribed throughout. Let's recap the picks for today because we do have a lot of them. So remember, these are all for full unit unless I otherwise specify, but you can track all these picks in the BetStamp app in the Find Better section as Edgework HQ. So taking a look at what we've got here for today, we're going to first and foremost go to the Islanders-Devils game, where we are taking the under 6.5 minus 120 there. Then we got in the Leafs Panthers, John Tavares, anytime goal plus 180. And then the Leafs money line minus 133. Then we go to the Nashville Predators game where the Predators are hot. You heard it from Moretto, not me. Predators plus 100 money line against Pittsburgh Penguins. Then we go Chicago, Seattle. If you want to hear the jokes for that one, go to earlier in the show. Seattle, Chicago, under 6.5, minus 120, as well as the Chicago Blackhawks money line, plus 165. Then we're also going to go to the Coyotes game. We got two bets there. The Coyotes money line, plus 105, as well as the Lightning Coyotes over 6.5, minus 115. And then two more bets here tonight. We got the Edmonton Oilers money line, minus 135 against the Vegas Golden Knights. And finally, the Anaheim Ducks against the Vancouver Canucks, under 6.5, plus 105. Again, you can track all these picks in the BetStamp app in the Find Better section as Edgework HQ. Matt, we haven't brought it up this year. Maybe I'm going to sewer myself, but I think I got rid of the whole, Vanna White reading through at the end. I think that was the problem I had last year. Would you agree with that?
I really enjoyed it, man. Listen, you're tops in my book, so you can do no wrong when it comes to my opinion, buddy. So if you want to slowly read them out, you want to read them out fast, you want to do them in German, man. I don't even care.
I'm just trying to be cognizant of the people on the podcast. Well, thank you. Well, there you go. That'll do it for today's show. I don't even know how to describe what the hell went on here. Game breakdowns, best bets, lots of jokes, but they're all out there. Today was a great episode, so thank you to everyone who tuned in, liked the stream, subscribe to the channel for more. Please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on notifications so you get notified every time videos drop. I put out ridiculous shorts talking about Peter Cech making professional hockey debuts from when he was playing pro soccer and decided he wanted to be a hockey goalie, putting out videos like that, as well as our best bets, the watch-alongs, anything like that going on here on the channel. So thanks to everyone who tuned in. Coming up across the hammer for the remainder of the day here today, you're going to want to tune in across all different channels because there is a lot going on. We're looking at, sorry, it just froze on my screen there. There we go. We are looking at for the remainder of the day coming up on the on the Board NBA channel, 11:30 a.m. Jacob Grimenia, Pips NBA, talking about SGPs, player props, sides, totals for the NBA. Those guys are on a heater over there. If you think the Edgework team is hot, you want to check that one out. Then over on Forward Progress, 2 p.m. film review, market watch, as well as talking about Thursday night football with over on the Forward Progress team over there. Then the NCAA breakdown as we're getting into bowl season. Hit the books, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Never punt, never parlay. Parker Fleming, Douglas Farmer. Check that one out as well. 90 Degrees, George Stofidis, as a G-Stack George, as you guys know him as. Coming up 4 p.m. Another episode with him on the Circles Off channel. Lots coming up across the hammer, across all of the different shows, all the different networks. So make sure to check those out. But thanks to everyone who tuned in here today. Matt, Alex, thank you guys for taking the time to do this here this morning. Do appreciate it as always. Look forward to seeing the two of you back here on Tuesday. And for everyone else in the chat, look forward to seeing you guys back here tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. Enjoy the games tonight. Good luck on your bets.